Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning, dear students. Welcome to my class. This is lecture number 30. In this lecture, we will be discussing the governors of Bengal, the Governor Generals of Bengal, and about the Governor Generals of India. We have already discussed it and studied the reforms introduced by the Governor of Bengal, Governor Generals of Bengal, as well as the Governor Generals of India in previous lectures. But in this lecture, we are going to make a consolidation of the reforms made by these executive heads from 1757 to 1774. That is, in 1757, the British got political power in Bengal through the Battle of Plassey, and it was Robert Clive who led the British in the first battle of Plassey, and the British emerged victorious, and following which Robert Clive was made the Governor of Bengal. He served as the Governor of Bengal from 1757 to 1760. In 1760, he returned to England. He was succeeded by Holwell as the next Governor of Bengal. But he was an officiating governor. He remained to the post of governor only for a short period. In the same year, that is in 1760, another governor was appointed by the British government, Vansittart. He remained as the governor of Bengal for 5 years from 1760 to 1765. In 1765, Robert Clive became the Governor of Bengal again. His second period came to an end in 1767 when he returned back to England. In 1767, after the return of Robert Clive, another governor was appointed at Bengal. It was Verilst. Verilst remained as the Governor of Bengal from 1767 to 1795. In 1795, another governor was appointed by the British. It was Cartier, who remained in office till 1772. In 1772, another governor was appointed by the British government. He was sent by the Court of Directors as the new Governor of Bengal. It was none other than Warren Hastings. He served as the Governor of Bengal from 1772 to 1774. All of them, from Robert Clive to Warren Hastings till the period of 1774, all of them were the governors of Bengal. But with the passage of the Regulating Act of 1773, this act was passed by the British government in 1773. It was the first constitutional enactment made by the British Parliament relating to Indian affairs. Under this act, the post of governor was raised to Governor General of Bengal. There were governors in subordinate presidencies of Bombay and Madras. The governor in Bengal was elevated to the position of the Governor General of Bengal, not a Governor General of India, Governor General of Bengal. This Governor General of Bengal would superintend the subordinate presidencies of Madras and Bombay. Then Warren Hastings, who had been serving as the Governor of Bengal since 1772, was made the first Governor General of Bengal. Thus, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of Bengal. He remained in office from 1774 to 1785 for a longer duration of 11 years. In 1786, Lord Cornwallis was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal. He remained in office from 1786 to 1793, Lord Cornwallis. In 1793, after the return of Lord Cornwallis, Sir John Shore was appointed as the next Governor General of Bengal. In 1798, the period of John Shore came to an end, and he was replaced by Lord Wellesley, an imperialist par excellence. He took the office of Governor General of Bengal in 1798, and he remained in that post till 1805. In 1805, after the return of Lord Wellesley, Lord Cornwallis served as the Governor General of Bengal for a short period. In the same year, he returned. Lord Cornwallis returned in the same year of 1805. After the return of Lord Cornwallis in 1805, after a brief period of Governor Generalship of Bengal, George Barla was appointed to officiate the post of Governor General. He was not given the full powers of the Governor General. He was given the charge or officiating of the Governor Generalship. In 1807, full governorship with full Governor Generalship, Earl of Minto I was appointed in 1807. Minto remained in office as the Governor General of Bengal till 1813. In 1813, after the expiry of the period of Minto I, Lord Hastings became the next Governor General of Bengal. In 1823, the next Governor General of Bengal was Lord Amherst. He was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal in 1823 and remained in office till 1828. In 1828, Lord William Bentinck assumed the office of the Governor General of Bengal, and he continued in that post till 1833. In 1833, the Charter Act of 1833 was passed. Charter Act of 1833 was passed by the British Parliament. Under this Charter Act, the post of Governor General of Bengal was replaced by Governor Generals of India. Earlier, they came into known as Governor Generals of Bengal. But through the passage of the Charter Act of 1833, the new nomenclature was Governor General of India. Who became the first Governor General of India? It was William Bentinck, who had been serving as the Governor General of Bengal since 1828. And in 1833, with the passage of the Charter Act, he was elevated to the position of Governor General of India. In 1835, the period of William Bentinck came to an end. He was followed by Charles Metcalfe in 1835, and he remained in office till 1836. In 1836, another Governor General of India was appointed. It was Lord Auckland. He became the Governor General of India in 1836 and continued till 1842. In 1842, Lord Auckland was succeeded by Ellenborough as the next Governor General of India. He continued this post till 1844. After the expiry of the period of Lord Ellenborough, Viscount Cardinge became the next Governor General of India. He served as the Governor General of India from 1844 to 1848. In 1848, Lord Dalhousie was appointed as the Governor General of India, and he remained as the Governor General till 1856. In 1856, Lord Canning became the next Governor General of India, and he continued as the Governor General of India till 1858. In 1858, Queen Victoria Proclamation was issued. Queen Victoria. After which the nomenclature of Governor General of India was replaced by a new nomenclature. It was Viceroy. The Governor General of India was replaced by Viceroy as the new nomenclature. Thus, Lord Canning became the last Governor General of India as well as the first Viceroy of India. In 1858, Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. These were the Governors of Bengal, Governor Generals of Bengal, and Governor Generals of India. The nomenclature of Governor remained from 1757 to 1772, and from 1772 to 1833, the nomenclature of Governor General of Bengal was used, and from 1833 to 1858, the nomenclature of Governor General of India was used. So, from 1757 to 1858, three different nomenclatures existed. Now, we are going to make the major reforms introduced during the period of the Governors of India, Governors of Bengal, Governor Generals of Bengal, and Governor Generals of India. In a nutshell, the detailed reforms introduced by these governors, Governor Generals of Bengal and India had already been discussed. Robert Clive. After the Battle of Plassey, Robert Clive was appointed as the governor of Bengal, and he served the post of governor of Bengal from 1757 to 1760. What were the major achievements of Robert Clive as the governor of Bengal during his first period spanning between 1757 1760? He was able to defeat Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor, and Shuja'ud-Dawla in 1759. Robert Clive was able to defeat both the Shah Alam II, the ruler of Mughal, as well as the Nawab of Shuja'ud-Dawla. It was during this period of Robert Clive as the governor of Bengal, he was able to defeat the Dutch at Chinsure. What was the immediate background which provided Robert Clive to defeat the Dutch at Chinsure was that the Nawab of Bengal, Mir Jafar, had made a conspiracy with the Dutch because of the increasing demands of the English East India Company. So, Mir Jafar, as a last resort, hatched a conspiracy with the Dutch at Chinsure. But Robert Clive did not allow this. He defeated the Dutch in 1759. Dutch was now completely rooted out from Bengal. It was during the period of Robert Clive, northern Sarkans became the part of the British. And during the course of the Second Carnatic War, Bussy, he was a resident, a military commander cum diplomat stationed at Hyderabad. Bussy was called by Count D. Daly. He was leading a military attack against the British. And in this third round of Carnatic War, the British was able to defeat the French, and it was during this period of the Third Carnatic War, northern Sarkars were captured by Robert Clive. These were the major achievements. In addition to that, his greatest achievement was the defeat of Nawab of Bengal, Sirajud-Dawla, in the Battle of Plassey in 1757, after which he was appointed as the governor. During his period as the governor, he defeated the French and occupied northern Sarkars. He defeated Mughal Emperor Shah Alam and Shuja'ud-Dawla of Nawab, and Dutch was also defeated. Robert Clive was succeeded by Vansittart as the next governor of Bengal in 1760. He remained in office as the governor of Bengal till 1765. What were the major developments during the period of Vansittart as the governor of Bengal? He removed Mir Jafar from the post of Nawab of Bengal and appointed Mir Qasim as the next Nawab. With Mir Qasim, a treaty was signed by Vansittart and got rewards from Mir Qasim for supporting him to the Nawabship of Bengal. Now, in 1765, again the English East India Company appointed Robert Clive as the governor of Bengal. During his second term as the governor of Bengal, he introduced some reforms in Bengal. And what were the major developments during the period of Robert Clive as the governor of Bengal from 1765 to 1767? You recall that in 1764, in the Battle of Bexar, the British was able to defeat the combined armies of Shuja Dawla, the Nawab of Oudh, the Mughal ruler Shah Alam II, and the armies of the Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal. These three combined forces were defeated by the British in the Battle of Bexar in 1764. So, even these three forces were defeated in the Battle of Bexar. No concluding treaties had not been ended with these defeated forces. It was left to Robert Clive to conclude separate treaties with the defeated forces of Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor, and Shuja Dawla, the Nawab of Oudh. He concluded the Treaty of Allahabad with Shuja Dawla, the Nawab of Oudh, in 1765. Under the treaty, Shuja Dawla was required to surrender Allahabad and Kore to Shah Alam II and pay 50 lakh rupees as war indemnity to the British. He was required to confirm Balwant Singh, the Zamindar of Benares, in full possession of his estate. It was also decided to render military help with each other in case of an attack by a third party. Robert Clive also signed another treaty. It was the second treaty of Allahabad with Shah Alam II. Under this treaty, Shah Alam was forced to grant the Diwani rights of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa to the British. In return, the British agreed to give Shah Alam II a subsidy of 26 lakhs rupees as well as the district of Kora and Allahabad taken from the Nawab of Oudh. And it was also required the Mughal emperor Shah Alam II to reside at Allahabad for 6 years as a virtual prisoner of the British. Robert Clive also introduced administrative reforms in Bengal. The administrative reforms introduced by Robert Clive in Bengal came in known as dual system of government. Under this system of government, the Nizamat and Diwani functions got divided into two. Diwani functions means that the right of the collection of land revenue. Nizamat was maintenance of land order. The Nawab continued to maintain Nizamat functions, maintenance of land order, while Diwani rights were given to the English East India Company. However, Diwani rights were given to English East India Company. In practice, these Indian officials appointed by the British discharged Diwani functions. This arrangement came in known as dual government because there existed two governments. One was led by English East India Company and the another government was led by the Nawab of Bengal. This dual government was a transcendent failure because the power was vested with the English East India Company, but the responsibility was vested with the Diwan, the Nawab of Bengal, who was required to maintain land order, but the authority was vested in the hands of the English East India Company. So, the dual government introduced by Robert Clive was a transcendent failure. In this background, Warren Hastings was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal in 1772. He introduced a new chapter in the history of English East India Company in India. He faced a Herculean task in Bengal. One, the dual government introduced by Robert Clive was a transcendent failure. Corruption, abuse of power, and engagement of the officials of the English East India Company in private trade were rampant, and the crimes were increased because the Nawab of Bengal was not in a position to maintain land order because the authority was vested with the English East India Company. One of the first things Warren Hastings did was that he took away the dual system of government introduced by Robert Clive in Bengal. Then the president and the council began to act as the Diwan for the collection of land revenue from Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Warren Hastings dismissed the deputy Diwans appointed by Robert Clive, Muhammad Raza Khan and Raja Shidab Roy. Muhammad Raza Khan was appointed in Bengal and Raja Shidab Roy was appointed in Bihar. They were dismissed by Warren Hastings, and Governor General and his council began to collect land revenue directly from Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. A new land revenue settlement was introduced by Warren Hastings in Bengal. It came in known as 5-year settlement of land revenue or quinquennial settlement. Under this settlement, the collection of land revenue was given to revenue farmers through a contract. But this quinquennial or 5-year settlement was also a failure because the revenue farmers were not able to collect the promised amount on time. So he replaced this quinquennial settlement or 5-year settlement with the annual settlement. This annual settlement was also a transcendent failure. Then he also introduced the judicial reforms. Warren Hastings, he was in favor of Oriental despotism. He did not want to make a complete shift from the traditional customs practices which had been in existence in India. So he was followed an Oriental despotism, and his judicial reforms were more or less patterned upon the Mughal system of judicial administration. He created Diwani Adalat and Faujdari Adalat at the district level. Diwani Adalat settled civil disputes. Faujdari Adalat settled criminal disputes. But Diwani Adalat was presided over by the collector, who was at the same time the head of the revenue department as well as the presided over the Diwani Adalat. And there was a Sadar Nizamat Adalat. It was presided over by the deputy Nasim. He was assisted by the chief Qazi and chief Mufti and 3 Maulavis. The Sadar Nizamat Adalat was an appeal court in criminal cases. There was Sadar Diwani Adalat, which was the appeal court in civil cases. Sadar Nizamat Adalat was the appeal court in criminal cases. And it was during the period of Warren Hastings, the regulating act was passed by the British Parliament. Under this regulating act, Warren Hastings, the governor of Bengal, became the Governor General of Bengal. Under the regulating act, a collegiate government was introduced, that is, Governor General and 4 members in a council were set up in Bengal to run the administration of Bengal. All the decisions in this council were to be taken based on a majority. The Governor General would have only a casting vote in case of a tie. But most of the time, Governor General was outvoted in the Governor General in Council. What were the major wars during the period of Warren Hastings? First, Anglo-Maratha War. It broke out during the period of Warren Hastings as the Governor General of Bengal. The first Anglo-Maratha War was from 1775 to 1782. During this war, neither side, whether it was the British nor the Marathas, did not win each other, and this treaty, the Treaty of Salbai, with the signing of this treaty, the hostilities between the Marathas and the English came to an end in the first round of struggle from 1775 to 1782. And the second round of conflict between the Marathas and the English broke out only in 1802. It gave a 20 years peace between the British and the Marathas following the signing of the Treaty of Salbai. And another war was against Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. In the first war between the British and Hyder Ali and the British ended a treaty in the first round of struggle, spanning between 1767 to 1769. During this first round of struggle, which came into an end by the signing of the Treaty of Madras. Under the Treaty of Madras, the British and Hyder Ali agreed to help with each other during the attack by a third party. But the British had no intention to stick this alliance, because when Marathas attacked the territory of the Mysore, the British did not come forward to support Hyder Ali. And during the course of the Second Anglo-Mysore War, Hyder Ali died in 1782. After the death of Hyder Ali in 1782, his son and successor Tipu Sultan led the second round of struggle between the English forces and the Mysoreans. But by the Treaty of Mangalore, signed between Tipu Sultan and the British, the second Anglo-Mysore War came to an end in 1784. So now it was during the period of Warren Hastings he was able to sign the Treaty of Salbai with the Marathas, but they were not completely subjugated. The English was not in a position to win over the Marathas of Western India. Likewise, in Mysore also, during the period of Warren Hastings, the British did not win over the Mysorean ruler. But it was during the period of Warren Hastings, the territories of the English East India Company consisted Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, Benares, Ghazipur. These territories were acquired by the English East India Company from the Nawab of Oudh by the Treaty of Faizabad in 1775. Northern Sarkar's port of Salsetti, it was acquired from the Marathas by the Treaty of Purandar in 1776. Harbours of Madras and Bombay, these were the territories of the English East India Company during the period of Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings was in favor of Oriental despotism. It was during the period of Warren Hastings, Asiatic Society of Bengal was created, and it was the period of Warren Hastings. He started Calcutta Madrasa in 1781. And after the period of Warren Hastings, Lord Cornwallis became the next Governor General of Bengal. He assumed the office of Governor General of Bengal in 1786. Even though he was sent to India to maintain peace with the other Indian powers and to find a solution to the land revenue problems in Bengal and to maintain an honest, efficient judiciary and the reorganization of the commercial department. With these policies in mind, Lord Cornwallis landed in India, and before reaching India, he was given the powers of both the Governor General as well as the Commander in Chief of the armed forces. And he was also empowered to override the majority decisions taken in the Governor General in Council. So, with the amendment of the Pitt India Act, these two powers were given to Cornwallis. He was the Governor General as well as the Commander in Chief, and he was given the power to override the decisions taken in the Governor General in Council. He served as the Governor General of Bengal from 1786 to 1793. His notable reform was introduced in judiciary. He introduced reforms in judiciary in 1787, 1790 and 1793. These judicial reforms introduced by Lord Cornwallis in three different periods came into known as Judicial Plan of 1787, 1790 and 1793. In 1789, he made the district collectors in charge of the district judges of the Diwani Adalat. So, both the revenue collection power as well as the dispensation of the civil law were given to the district collector, in whom vested the headship of the revenue administration in a district as well as the power to administer civil justice. They were given, the district collectors were given both magisterial powers and empowered to try criminal cases to a certain limit. In the Judicial Plan of 1790, he abolished Faujdari Adalat, which had decided criminal cases during the period of Warren Hastings. He created 4 circuit courts in this place, 3 for Bengal and 1 for Bihar. These circuit courts were to be presided over by European covenanted officers. They acted with the support of Indian qazis and muftis. In 1793, he separated revenue administration from the administration of justice. Earlier, both the head of the revenue department in a district as well as the judicial officer who settled civil cases in a district were the same person, in whom the headship of the revenue department, and it was he who decided the civil cases. Now the district collector, whose judicial powers were taken away, he was made the head of the revenue department in a district. He took away the judicial and magisterial powers of the district collector, which had been enjoying from the time of Warren Hastings. Now, the judicial powers of the district collector got divested and they were required to work only for the administration of revenue. These judicial powers were given to a new official called district judge. In addition to that, a gradation of courts were also set up by Lord Cornwallis. Lord Cornwallis also introduced reforms in policing and civil service in order to end the corrupt practices of the police officers. He raised the salary of the police officers. He also instituted rewards for meritorious service. Earlier, even during the period of Warren Hastings, the Semindars had enjoyed police powers. During the period of Lord Cornwallis, the judicial powers of the Semindars were taken away and it was given to officers appointed by the British government. Each district was divided into areas of 400 square miles and each area was placed under the charge of an officer called police superintendent. And it was Lord Cornwallis, he laid the foundation of the civil service. Even though Warren Hastings commenced the appointment of collectors as the head of the revenue department in a district, it was Cornwallis, he reformed and modernized the civil service. That is why Cornwallis came to be known as the father of civil service in India. He introduced the covenanted civil service or higher civil service, but in this covenanted civil service only Indians were appointed. Indians were not appointed in this covenanted service. Indians were given appointments only in uncovenanted services. The covenanted service was created by law of the English East India Company, while uncovenanted service was created through the executive order. In uncovenanted service, Indians were appointed, but in covenanted civil service or higher civil service, only the Britishers were appointed. In higher posts of judiciary, civil service and military, Indians were not appointed. All higher posts were grabbed by the Britishers. He had doubtful about the integrity and ability of the Indians. That is why Indians were not appointed in the higher posts of civil service, judiciary and army. And he also thought that the consolidation of British power in India could be done only by the British. In addition to that, he wanted to reserve these lucrative posts for the influential section of the British society. Sir John Shore became the next Governor General of Bengal after the expiry of the period of Lord Cornwallis. It was during the period of Sir John Shore, Charter Act of 1793 was passed. He followed the policy of non-intervention as mentioned in the Pitt's India Act, as in the Charter Act of 1793. The famous battle fought during the period of Sir John Shore was Battle of Karda. And after the John Shore, Lord Wellesley became the next Governor General. He was an imperialist par excellence. He introduced the subsidiary alliance system to bring under the control of the English East India Company. He introduced the subsidiary alliance system in Oudh in 1801, Mysore in 1799, and in the Marathas through the Treaty of Bassein. He introduced subsidiary alliance. Hyderabad had already accepted the subsidiary alliance. During the period of Wellesley, he effectively introduced the subsidiary alliance, under which the protection of the Indian states was to be taken over by the English East India Company by making an annual payment by the Indian states for the maintenance of the troops by the British, under which the independence of the Indian states came to an end. The British resident used to interfere in the internal affairs of the state. The subsidiary alliance was extensively introduced in Oudh, Mysore, Marathas, and Hyderabad became the dependent states of the English East India Company. It was during the period of Lord Wellesley, Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Fourth Anglo-Mysore War took place during the period of Lord Wellesley. In the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Tipu Sultan was completely defeated and subsidiary alliance was introduced in Mysore. It was during the period of Wellesley, Madras Presidency was established, and Lord Wellesley founded Fort William College at Calcutta in 1800 to provide training to the civil servants, but it did not attract the favor of the Court of Directors, following which the Fort William College was abolished in 1802. Even though the college was created in 1800, in 1802 Fort William College was abolished, and in order to provide training to the civil servants, another college was created in Britain. It came in known as Haileybury College or East India College at Haileybury. This East India College at Haileybury was created in 1806. This college was created for providing training to the civil servants. One of the greatest achievements of Lord Wellesley was the Treaty of Bassein, signed between Peshwa Bajirao II, and under this Treaty of Bassein, Lord Wellesley was able to impose subsidiary alliance on Marathas. Now the Peshwa became a dependent of the English East India Company. Following the signing of the Treaty of Bassein, hostilities broke out between the Marathas and the British. During the period between 1803 and 1806, it was during the period of the second round of conflict between the Marathas and the British. The British was able to defeat both the Peshwa as well as the Maratha chiefs. They became dependent of the English East India Company on the territories of the Maratha chiefs. Subsidiary alliance system was introduced, and these Maratha chiefs were required to surrender their territories. George Barla was the next Governor General. He was the acting Governor General of India till the arrival of Lord Minto in 1807. He served as the Governor General from 1805 to 1807. One of the major events took place during the period of George Barla was Mutiny of Vellore. when the commander-in-chief denied the Shibais of Vellore to wear caste marks, the Shibais protested and Vellore Mutuni was effectively suppressed. Lord Minto was the next Governor General of Bengal. He assumed charge in 1807, and it was during the period of Lord Minto as the Governor General of Bengal, treaty was signed between Maharaja Ranjit Singh in 1809. Under this treaty signed between Maharaja Ranjit Singh and the British, Maharaja Ranjit Singh agreed not to encroach upon the territories beyond river Satluj. The Treaty of 1809 provided peace between the Sikh and the English East India Company till 1839. It was during the period of Lord Minto, Charter Act of 1813 was passed. One of the effects of this Charter Act was that the English East India Company lost its trade monopoly with India. Now, India was opened to other private companies in Britain, as well as the private persons in Britain to come to India and engage in trade. And one of the greatest development through the passage of the Charter Act of 1813 was that it was for the first time the government accepted the responsibility of the development of education among the native Indians by providing an amount to the tune of 1 lakh rupees for the educational and cultural affairs of the Indians. It was provided through the Charter Act of 1813. Lord Hastings was the next Governor General of Bengal. It was during the period of Lord Hastings as the Governor General of Bengal, Third Anglo-Maratha War took place in 1718, and in this war the British was able to completely defeat the Maratha forces, and the territories of the Maratha forces were added to the British Empire in India. Peshwaship was abolished. Right-wary settlement was introduced in Bombay and Madras Presidency. It was during the period of Lord Hastings, Maghalwari system of settlement was introduced in northwest provinces and Bombay. The next Governor General was Lord Amherst. One of the greatest development during his period was annexation of Assam and the First Burmese War of 1824. His period also witnessed the mutiny of Barakpur regiment in 1824. This regiment objected to cross the Black Water to go to Burma, but this mutiny was suppressed by the British. And in 1833, through the Charter Act, the Governor General of Bengal became the Governor General of India, and thus William Bentinck became the first Governor General of India. He abolished sati during his period. He suppressed the thugs and abolished infanticide and child practices. It was during the period of Lord William Bentinck one of the greatest development took place in India. It was the introduction of the English education in India through the famous Macaulay Minute of 1835. His period also witnessed the establishment of first medical college in Calcutta. He was succeeded by Lord Auckland. He was in favor of the introduction of the native schools in India, expansion of the commercial activity of the British in India, and his period also witnessed first Anglo-Afghan War. It was during the period of Lord Ellenborough. He was the next Governor General of India. Sindh was annexed in 1843. He also banished Amirs from Sindh. Lord Hardinge I was the next Governor General. During his period, first Anglo-Sikh War broke out. Treaty of Lahore was signed during this period, and his period also witnessed the introduction of the subsidiary alliance in Punjab. Lord Dalhousie was the next Governor General. He introduced the doctrine of lapse, and his period witnessed Wood's Dispatch. He introduced the post office, railway, telegraph, and an engineering college was created during his period at Roorkee. It was the period of Dalhousie. Second Anglo-Sikh War broke out, and the Sikh territories were added to the British Empire. PWD telegraph lines were created. He also started competitive examinations, and his period witnessed the passage of the Widow Remarriage Act. Lord Canning was the next Governor General. His period witnessed the establishment of universities in Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. His period witnessed the outbreak of the Great Rebellion of 1857. These are the questions to which you are able to answer. Thank you, dear students, for watching my class. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this piece of literary snippet. We usually know William Shakespeare as the most revered figure in the history of English literature. But we often tend to forget that he has also been one of the most hated figures in literature. And here I'm not talking only about those boys and girls who have to memorize long sections from Macbeth or King Lear or Julius Caesar before they can go and sit for their school or college exams. But I'm also talking about people who are themselves quite famous authors. Tolstoy, for instance, considered the writings of Shakespeare to be, and I quote, crude, immoral, vulgar, and senseless. George Bernard Shaw absolutely loathed Shakespeare, as he did Homer. But perhaps no other criticism about Shakespeare is more damaging than the one which says that Shakespeare is a marvelous storyteller, provided someone has told him the story earlier. Now, this piece of criticism is particularly damaging because it is true. None of Shakespeare's plays contain any original story whatsoever. They are all written using pre-existing materials, pre-existing stories. Now, does that diminish the stature of Shakespeare as a dramatist? Well, I'll leave that for you to decide. See you in the next episode of Literary Snippets.